ready to paint Frida Kahlo? It is Women's History Month, and this month we are going to be drawing portraits of famous, inspiring women.
What you'll need for this project is 2 pieces of mixed media paper, a pencil and eraser, a Sharpie, and watercolors. If you want to use craft paint or acrylic paint, that's fine too. If you want to use colored pencils, that's fine too. All right, so go grab those supplies and meet me back here and we'll get started.
All right, are you ready? Let's start by getting a brand new sheet of mixed media paper. And the reason we're using mixed media paper is because we are going to paint on it. And this paper works really well for painting. All right, I put an inspiration photo of Frida over here on the screen. Now, this is a choice that you have to make for this project. Would you want to draw Frida like you see here, or would you like to draw yourself as Frida? So you get to decide. I am going to draw myself as Frida, but I'm going to give her, or me, the unibrow eyebrow, and then maybe a little bit of a mustache, because that's what she has and that's what some people have. All right, you might also look at all the flowers she put behind her and those 2 birds. So I'm going to be doing that as well. So I have my pencil here, and I'm going to just start roughing in the shapes for this, and then go in. I'm going to do that really light and then keep going in a little bit darker and darker until I figure out how I'm going to have this composed. So the first thing I'm going to draw is, you can see she has a blue background that almost looks like a tent behind her. So I'm going to start with that shape. Like so. And then I'm going to draw the round oval of her face. Make it a little bit bigger here. And I'm just lightly sketching this in. We will go over it again and again. And then her neck. And then the top of her dress around her collar. And then right there you see a bird. Sketching that in. And on the other side, another bird. Do you know what kind of birds these are? I don't, but maybe I'll look it up later and see if we can't figure it out. All right. So Frida was from Mexico City, so they might be indigenous to that part of the world. All right. Once you have the oval of the face sketched in, the neck, these birds, now we can go in and kind of finish this blue background shape. And then maybe sketch in some big flowers. And this background, you can do anything you want. If you want to copy the same flowers that she did, draw your own flowers, draw different shapes. It's totally up to you. Draw some big shapes and little shapes so they balance each other out. And then it looks like her dress ends and there are more flowers below her. I love the color palette of this self-portrait she did. All right. Now that you have that sketched in, let's go in and add a little bit more detail. So she is looking a little bit off. Her head is tilted a little bit off, but her eyes are straight. So let's go in and move her chin over and draw more of a jawline. So I moved her chin over to the right. And then she has some cheekbones. Now I'm going to start looking at myself. And I have a little cheekbone. I keep going the wrong way because it's reversed. And then I'm going to draw my ear. And my mouth. If you need a mirror, you can use a mirror, or you can just do your best, or turn on your video camera. I don't think this is going to look like an exact portrait of me, but we'll see. I'm going to move up to the nose. Again, you're just seeing a profile of it. So you're seeing one nostril. And the other one is hidden. And I'm still just lightly sketching here. Now I'm going to do the eyes, my eyes. And the other one, the right eye is going to be close to the bridge of my nose. Since I'm looking, my face is a little bit pointed off screen. And then the eyeballs, the left eyeball is more towards the left side of her face, or my face, and the right eyeball is more to the right side of my face. Usually the side of the nose lines up with the edge of the eye. So I'm going to make my nose nostril a little bit bigger so it lines up. And then you can just fiddle with it until it's where you like it. And then for the hair, she normally wears a center part. And we're going to add some flowers on afterwards. So you don't have to necessarily draw the flowers. You can just draw the hair for now. And I'm going to give myself her hairstyle, which looks like it's in some braids. I'll leave my hair white because I've got white hair. You can have your hair color any color you want, your hair color or different color. I'm moving my neck over a little bit because I looked at where my neck falls in comparison to my face when I give myself a profile. And maybe you can see just the peak of my ear. All right, now I'm going to work on the brow, which signifies Frida, which I love. I love that she kept that natural because that really makes her her. All right. I'm moving my lips over a little bit. So the one left side is a little bit longer than the right because again, kind of looking off screen a little bit. And I don't have as pronounced of a jawline as she does, so I'm going to bring that in a little bit. All right. How is yours coming? Now, here is where we are going to start painting. Now, if you want to outline this in a Sharpie, you can. If you want to just jump in with watercolors, that's what I'm going to do. All right, I'm grabbing a few different size of brushes. I'm going to use a wider brush, a smaller, wider brush, and then a more pointed brush for the detail part. I'm going to start with the dark purple blue background. Actually, I've changed my mind. I'm going to start with the skin. So my skin is a little bit lighter than hers. And I'm just going to start making a base coat of just a one color. I'm going to color over, paint over everything, and just kind of do a base here. Don't forget the neck and the ear. All right, now let's go in with a little bit of a pink for a blush. And her self-portraits, she does apply a lot of blush on them. So I'm going to do the same. And if you think that your color has turned out too dark, you can always go back in with your base color and mix it. You can always grab a paper towel and kind of wipe it off. There's a lot of different things that you can do. And she also has some red around her temple, her forehead. So before you rinse out your brush, you can add a little bit and on her chin and right below her chin on her neck. You can add some of that warmer, pinker color. And also on the side of her nose, let's not forget that. Now, I'm going to grab a darker red for the lips. And I'm going to leave a little bit of negative space in between so you can see where the top lip ends and the bottom lip begins. Now I've got a little bit of this darker red on my brush, so I'm going to go back up and maybe add just a little bit of this to the forehead. And maybe just a little bit to under her chin to make that a little bit darker. Now I'm going to rinse out this brush and switch brushes to I'm just going to blend this a little bit more now that I've got some more water in my brush. I'm going to switch brushes to the littler one, and I'm going to grab some dark brown to use for the brow. And then I'm going to use that same color for the dark part of the eye. So let's put a little circle of dark. And again, it's going to be more towards the nose than it is centered because she's looking a little bit off into the camera, but her head is tilted. All right, now since you have a little bit of that dark on your brush, you can go back in and maybe outline some things. I think I'm going to do a slight thin outline of the eye and the nose. If it's too dark for you, you can use a lighter color or just rinse it out a little bit more. And there's always a little shadow underneath the eye, so you can take it down a little bit, the eyelid. All right, so my nose, I'm not digging the way it's looking, so I'm going to try to add more water and use a napkin to or a paper towel just to kind of get some of that paint off. See how that works? It's a pretty nifty trick. There we go. How's yours coming? All right, now I have grayish bluish eyes, so I am going to do a lighter blue for my eyeballs. You can choose whether you want to do your own eye color or dark like Frida's. I'm just lightly sketching that in almost. So I've got just a little bit of paint on my brush, and I'm just lightly just laying it down, trying not to overlap with any of the paint that I have on here before that's not dry, because I want to keep this color as pure as possible. I love the way it looks. It doesn't look anything like me, and it doesn't really look anything like Frida, but I do enjoy it. I hope you are liking yours, no matter what it turns out like. And just extend the eyelids a little bit. I'm going to go in with some black and just, oops, I guess that's a blue. Make more just lines, outlines. All right. I don't know what this reminds me of, but it reminds me of another artist. I'll try to look it up. If you know, let me know. All right. We'll fill in some definition of her ear. And now for the hair. I'm going to erase my little lines because I'm going to do white hair and I don't want those lines to show. Let's see how well the white shows up here. Can't really see it at all, but it's there. All right. Shall we dive into the background and these birds? I'm going to start with a dark royal blue and just start painting behind her head. The reason I love watercolors so much, and I'm using these gouache paints, is because you can just paint quickly, and I love painting quickly. I love being a little bit messy, not worrying about how perfect it is. If you want to get yours, more perfect, you can spend more time on it. And that's okay too. I've done that for many years as well. And I just added a little bit more water to my brush so I can move this paint around a little bit easier. It was starting to get a little dry. Grab a little bit more. I absolutely love painting on paper. I do. I just love it. I'm not sure why. I just like the smooth texture of it. All right. How fun is that? Let's switch to working on that. Looks like a half circle that's above the tent looking blue part. And it's in one of my favorite colors of fuchsia. So I'm going to grab that and just start laying in some of this color. I'm not worried about how perfect it is right now because the style of this painting is quite loose. And so I'm going to embrace that. And then there's a little space where there's a yellow line. So I'm going to leave some space for that yellow line. And I see that color is picked up here in some shapes on the left side. So I'm going to add that in. Looks like the same color is over here. Gonna add that in, and it almost looks like it could have that same color in some of these flowers. When you're using big bold colors like this, make sure you try to balance it out. So if you have some on the left, put it on the right, and vice versa. All right. Let me rinse that brush out. And then let's go for this yellow. It's kind of like an ochre. And it's used quite a bit. It's used in this bird's wing. These gouache color watercolors that I'm using, this is the brand HIMI. They have a lot of great colors. So if you don't have these bright colors in your watercolors, you sure could use some acrylic paint and just get it really really wet, and that will almost look like the same thing. Looks like these birds have these tufts, like these mohawks, that are also that yellow ochre. And there's quite a bit of yellow ochre in this background. I'm not going to make perfect flowers here. I'm almost just painting in all the negative space with this yellow. Not all of it, but some of it. All right. How's it coming? I'm going to switch to a darker pink magenta. So I'm going to have to mix two colors together. A little bit of magenta and a little bit of red. I love how loose she is with her paint here. You can just feel the energy in the brush strokes. All right, it also looks like the birds have this darker red on their chests and their faces, half their faces at least. So I'm going to do that as well. And they have the yellow ochre beaks. And then a blue front face. And the flowers have blue centers. And then there's also some blue paint strokes up at the top. And in here. And she has a green, let me put another flower here, a green dress on. So I'm going to grab a bright emerald green, paint the dress. All right, I'm going to go in with some brighter yellow, just kind of fill in some of these white spaces. And I think I'm going to maybe paint my hair pink because you can't really see the white. So let me grab some pink. There we go. Awesome. You know, when you have some paint on your paintbrush and you don't, want to waste it, you can just go in and kind of add some other paint textures. I love the way this looks. So I'm going to rinse out my brush, and I think I'm going to go back with a pencil or like a really fine Sharpie, and just try to make a little bit more definition here and there. So these birds, you can see that they've got some wings, some feathers. So I'm going to go draw those in. Draw in, an eye. Right, outline her forehead and maybe my cheek a little bit. I might go in and make kind of round scribbles up here. Kind of do some outlines of these shapes. And I'm being completely messy here. I'm hardly even holding my pencil the right way. Outline some of these flowers. Looking good. All right. Okay, so that is the first part. We're going to do one more step. If you get out another sheet of mixed media paper, we are going to draw some flowers separately, cut them out, and glue them on. So I think I'm going to do yellow flowers like she has in her hair, just to stand out from the blue and the pink. I think I'm going to do it with just a marker. And so I'm going to, her flowers almost look like dandelions, don't they? So that's what I'm going to draw. A bunch of dandelions. Maybe just use a bit of a darker color for the center of them. You can draw any flower you want here. Going back over with my initial color on top of this darker color to blend it in a little bit. And once you get them done, then take out your scissors and just cut them out. I like to collage paintings quite a bit because the extra texture that it gives. I'm going in and making these a little bit more pointed. A couple more. Now you'll take your flowers and your glue stick and put them on your hair. And put mine a little bit off to the side like hers is. And glue it on. There we go. My self-portrait of being Frida. Can't wait to see how yours turns out. I hope you had fun. Keep experimenting. You can keep adding detail. You could add some different color flowers. Cut those out. Place those on, maybe on the sides. And enjoy it. What a wonderful project and inspired by a wonderful artist. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more art tutorial videos. And I will see you next time.